Okay, so let's start. I had the name of the show to be restarting my app yet another time, because things evolve and we have to sometimes restart things with preview bits. So this is .NET Dev Show because I do .NET MAUI a lot. And if you are new to the game, then let me walk you through a little bit as to what's going on and why I'm restarting the app. So things are in preview as they have been for a while. The latest preview bits of .NET MAUI is preview 14. And this is an interesting one because the word on the street is this might be the last preview. They're heading into solidifying the release, and the next bits might be release candidate and then going into general availability sometime by the middle of this year. And so they're trying to solidify any breaking API changes, which there are quite a few in this release. They added new menu items, which is nice, but this is only for desktop though. .NET MAUI is for iOS, Android, Windows, and Mac. These things are only for desktop. So a bunch of things in here, lots of pull requests in. There is additional emphasis on .NET MAUI Essentials. This is the one NuGet package. It's actually baked in now. That gives you access to all of the native APIs on every platform. Works on mobile or desktop. So a lot of things being put out. And it's everyone's welcome to try things out, and to kind of go along with that, we have been making our own UI suite to kind of ride on top of .NET MAUI. So it's Telerik UI for .NET MAUI, and I was actually using some of this control suites, some of the controls in my app. So if you get the latest on this one, we put out a build yesterday, and this latest bit should work on or with preview 14. So we have like a fixed set of builds now to work with. Now, what am I building? Just to kind of quickly recap, this is where I want to take you to our blogs and show you this quick little thing. Every Monday, if you want to kind of stay up on top of excuse me, .NET MAUI news, I put out this like newsletter type thing, which kind of highlights some of the things that are happening in the community around .NET MAUI. So you can see articles and videos and other stuff like that. So I'm making this into an app, and it's probably the 5th or 6th time I've had to restart because there are APIs that are breaking between Microsoft bits and our control bits, and HTTP stack was a little broken between preview 13 and preview 14. So things are not working the way I had them before. So you can see, like on my desktop, I have a backup of the app that I was building. Because if I try building this now, it just crashes all over the place. So there's no point fighting that because it's like older previews. I just need to bring the files over and start from scratch with the latest previews. So let's go into this, where I keep all my or try to keep all my projects. So that's the Sands of MAUI folder, and it is empty, right? So we want to start from scratch because I created a backup of that. All right, in chat room, I see some of you joining on. I'm just here coding away, so please feel free to ask any questions or just interact. I'm here. And I'll try to share my 2 cents. Okay, so I'm on a Mac. All of this is so much better on Windows when you have Visual Studio. On a Mac, you're kind of playing around with command line a little bit. Things are getting together for VS for Mac as well. Preview 7 does bring Xamarin Forms support back, which is great because now you can actually open up .NET MAUI projects and you can start debugging, but the multi-targeting doesn't work very well. So we're going to stick to command line for now, and let's go into our Sands of MAUI project, and we're going to start afresh. So if I do a .NET, let's actually check what version I'm using. Should be 6.201. So this is the latest .NET 6 201 version. And if I do a .NET new list, these are all my templates, and I want to actually begin with the MAUI Blazor app, because that's what I was doing before. So why am I doing this versus pure XAML? The reason is if I go back to the type of content I'm trying to render, so I want to pull back a list of all of my issues, and then once you tap on each issue, this is going into a CMS, and it's kind of already formatted with like HTML and JavaScript and CSS. I don't want to redo that. I just want to throw it into a Blazor web view and call it a day, because it already knows how to render HTML content. So that's why I'm picking the MAUI Blazor. So let's start there. Let's do a clear. So I'm starting brand new, .NET new MAUI Blazor. All right, there we go. So quick. And let's open it up in VS Code. All right, beautiful. So now we have our app. Let's make things a little bigger, but this is, from the template. We haven't done anything to it. Yeah, some projects are having trouble because you're not used to this VS Code. That's all right. All right, so let's make sure my file new project works. And then we'll bring things back. So I think I should have like a Mac Catalyst build here. There we go. So I'm building .NET MAUI for Mac Catalyst, the Mac build for desktop. I can actually take the same code and I can run this on iOS, Android, or Windows. But let's start with the Mac, because that's just I'm already on a Mac. It's a quick build. So when it says optimizing assemblies, that's when you know your build is successful and it's trying to package it up. So out comes the desktop app, hello world, Sands of MAUI, and this is the Blazor, thing we did. So the whole thing is essentially a big web view, but we don't want to use that from the get-go. We actually want to have a couple of pages that are pure XAML, and then when you want to see that actual issue, that's when we want to bring in the Blazor web view. But out of the box, this is working, and all of you can start with MAUI and tinkering around. The builds work just fine on command line, as well as on Visual Studio, of course, if you are on that. Okay, so we have that working. Now let's start bringing some things in. All right, so let's start with our CS proj here. This one is important because I do need the the Razor syntax to do all the Blazor MAUI stuff. Rest of it is fine. Display name. Oh, this is the app identifier. I want to change that to my wildcard. This is tied to Apple provisioning profile and certificates. So just before I forget, I'm going to write that down. Images, splash screens, none of it I need to mess with right now. I will just get to it eventually. So you got MAUI program, which does a bunch of setting up with the .NET generic build host, and then it sets up the Blazor web view. You got a couple of using things here like the data and stuff I don't need, because this is all for the weather forecast for the Blazor project, and then all my Blazor pages are in here. And then all the platform specific stuff is in here. Okay, so let's start bringing back what I had slowly. So let's go back to my saved things, and I can copy some files over, but let's actually do the CS proj first. Let's open it up in text edit. I just need like 2 lines out of there. All of this is fine. I do need these 2 references. And that's because I'm actually going to use Azure Cosmos DB to pull up my data. So let's go in here, add my 2 references. I don't need like a separate item group for that. So I can just do it here. So that is the latest Azure Cosmos NuGet package that I know of. It was 3.25, and in the past I've used, like, this is all preview. You can see like the semantic versioning. We are not at 1.0 yet. That'll be at, you know, general availability with .NET MAUI. That's when you'll also have Telerik UI for .NET MAUI. But right now we're at 6, and this 6 is the one that works with preview 14. And these things go out of sync. Like, I think what I had in the other project was I had the runtime at preview 14, but the UI wasn't running on 14, so I got like crashes all over. This is what I need. And I already have the 2 NuGet sources. I have the, you know, plain NuGet.org to bring down all of the .NET MAUI and the .NET stuff. And then I have the reference to the Telerik NuGet source. So I think that's all. Sometimes I'll do a linker thing in here just to kind of make sure the tree shaking doesn't drop some of the DLLs, but I don't need that right now. If it breaks, then I'll bring it back. So okay, that's what I need. And let's look at what I had with MAUI program in the other one. Text edit is fine. Okay, so let's make this a little bigger. Okay, so I had a couple of global usings. Yeah, I do need this compatibility mode, and I need this use Telerik to bring that in. Namespace Sands of MAUI is fine. So go to MAUI program. I don't need the data part, the Sands of MAUI data, but I'll take that off in a bit. So global using. So I do it in one spot. I have it. And then here on the builder, I have to do a use Telerik. Okay, so what that does is it's an extension method that says, you know, add a bunch of things. So I can use some of the renderers as handlers and so on. And it does a bunch of like configuration changes as well. But that's all I need. Yeah, that's it. So let's close that and let's make sure we are still good. Another build. Notice the app ID is no different. Uses my identifier, which is good. Okay, we're still good. We are still golden. App is still working. Yeah. All right. Now let's go into some of the other stuff. So what I had here was a folder called models, which had my issue and issue detail. I do need that. And I had views and I had view models. And I still had the data, but I wasn't using it. And I had pages. Let's bring this in, and then services. This is the one that has the Cosmos service thing that I need. Let's bring this in, okay, and then we'll see what breaks. Let's copy models first, and we're gonna go in here. This Sands of MAUI and drop that folder called models. Okay, so now I have my models. First is issue.cs. This should be fairly easy to understand. It's just, you know, a plain old object, and I'm going to mark these things as like JSON because they have corresponding things in my Cosmos backend. And then this is like each issue has this, and then issue detail has the same ID. So that's my correlation ID. And then the issue detail also has an HTML body, which I want to pull back from my backend. Which, let me show you where that backend is. That's in my Azure portal. Get in as that. This is my Cosmos service that's running. Go to my resource, and this may be a little bit of an overkill. Interesting. Failed to refresh. Why? No, you should be fine. Data Explorer. So these are the two things I'm after. First is the issue list, which has this thing called issue list, and that has the 2 items, 1 and 2, which I want to bring back in my list of issues. And then once you tap on each one, I want to take you to the actual issues, which will have the ID and the HTML body, which just says hello world for now. So that's what I am after. That's what I'm pulling back. So this should be fine for now. I've just added a model. Nothing should break, hopefully. Next up, let's add my services and view models as well. Why not? Yeah, let's copy those two out, and I need to drop them in here. Sands of MAUI, paste. So the reason I'm having to do this is, again, because of things that broke between multiple previews. So it's just moving files around, not a big deal. Okay, so out comes my services thing, which is still using the namespace that I do need, using file scope namespace. I do have my URI and my primary key up here. Beyond that, I'm going after each of the things. I have some things commented out here because they were not working, but I think they should work now if everything is fixed up in the preview. So I'm pulling back a list of issues, and then I'm pulling back the details of each issue, which we'll get to. Okay, and then I also dropped the view models, which is here. So this is the list. So this one is going to new up the cloud service, has an observable collection, which I think I need to add a namespace for that, because it might not have that namespace. So let's add that. What was the namespace? It's object collection model, right? Put that up here. Yeah, these two. And well, I'll grab all of this, but I don't need all of this actually. So let's come back here, MAUI program. Okay, got that. This is already added, and I only need it in one place. I don't need it in both, but these two I do want to add them for both. All right, so in here goes these two. So now I have full collection model support in every one of my pages, object model, and then threading, because I'm going to do async and await to pull up the data. Okay, let's see what we broke. And that's the list, and this is the view model to drive the actual thing, which fetches the issue based on a certain ID, right? And none of it has actually been pulled into the UI. So let's see if it will still build, or if we broke something. Yes, we broke something. Yeah. All right. The observable collection not found. Why not found? Oh, I didn't save this actually. See that big red, the brown dot that says I didn't save that file. Okay, now you got it. Do another build. Better. So it's giving me some warnings because I have some async and await operations that are commented out, which we can get to. Okay, we're still up and running. Yeah. So this is what I didn't have before, because I had 14 bits and 13 UI, and it was just a hodgepodge and it just broke. So I'm glad I can at least bring the files over and start working from there. Okay, so next up come my views, and that's going to be the important thing. So I have two views here, well, a couple of views here. Let's bring them all in. Copy that. Go there. Go to Sands of MAUI and paste that. Okay, so now I should have my views. Don't need that. Don't need that anymore. Okay, views. All right, so first up, I think is excuse me, this test.xaml file, which I was just testing to see if any kind of UI is going to show up, any kind of Telerik UI. So I have the Telerik barcode here that I'm trying to render, and I think that's it. Oh, so maybe this is not a bad test. Before I delete that, I should just try and see if I'm getting Telerik bits to work. If not, I can switch back to .NET MAUI bits. But this may be a good test. But this is all in the same namespace, right? Yeah. So I should be able to go in here and not do that. Instead, we're going to do a main page equals new test. See, we are starting to get some IntelliSense. Okay, so we have switched the main page, the starting page of the app, and nothing else. So I think if everything is right, it should just render a barcode from our UI library. It does not. Why not? It didn't break, but that's my right namespace, and I'm not missing an assembly reference. One thing I might have to do is sometimes it drops the DLLs. That's kind of a hack that I had to do. So let's bring that thing back and I'll show you what it is. CSproj. It is this one line of code. Let's see if that's actually the one making the difference, especially for iOS and Android. This may be a .NET MAUI thing that eventually gets fixed, but right now, maybe it is this. So what I'm saying here is make sure when you're bundling up the app package, don't drop any DLLs, because it tries to do that. It tries to do the tree shaking and only have the references that you're actually using. So it's saying if my target framework is iOS or Mac Catalyst, I think this SDK only thing means just don't drop the SDKs. So I think, and I've done like similar hacks like this. There are a couple of other values you can do for the mtouch link, but maybe that's what I need. If not, then, I mean, it didn't complain that my restores are not working, so it's getting it right. Let's do a restore. Yeah, it's up. So let's do another build. Thinking for a little bit. Chat room, you're quiet today. Talk to me. Oh, there you go. Yeah, so that's what I had to do. So I still need that hack though. So that's the barcode, right? So we are pulling the NuGet packages down correctly, which is good. And then I can render my barcode. Yay. All right. So my test file works. Now I can go into this one here. So what this is doing is, let's see, what did I have before? Okay, so it's a content page. It doesn't have anything other than a list view. And yes, there's a list view that's built into .NET MAUI, but this one's a little bit on steroids because it has a few features that I really need, like you can swipe and you can favorite things, you can do data virtualization. It's just a little bit more advanced what we can pull off. So I want to use this list view and let's see if it works. So I got the namespaces right. That all looks fine. And let's look at the XAML here. Oh, the code behind actually. So I'm newing up a list view, and on appearing, just so I can do the async and await, I'm doing the new and then await, the fetch and bind data. The fetch and bind data, I have this commented out. Okay, so right now I think it's just taking the list view and just rendering this as a source with this collection of names, just random names. So let's see if that actually works. So instead of test, we're going to say issue list view, is that what it's called? Yes, issue list view. Just that. Okay, so now the test page is gone, and we just want to see our list view rendered with some names, just as a list of names. I'm not doing anything else here. Wait, did I actually, let's see, what am I doing here? If you come down here, no, it's not even trying to get any data. It's just literally just showing a list view. Did it get done? Oh, it got done right there. Ooh, this is way off, but it's showing my list. It's just the syntax and the formatting is way off, but it's kind of horizontally showing stuff. That's okay. But it's working. The list view is working. Very good. Very good. All right. Now, let's move this off here. Let's bring it back. So now, this is, let's open up this one line. I'm not binding this yet. But when I do the fetch data, it's going to go into the view model, which is this, and it's going to call into this. Now notice how it returns a task because it's async and await, an observable collection of the type issue, which is it's trying to pull back a list of issues, news up the Cosmos service, and then it does an await and says fetch issue list. So that is in my services and that. All right, so this is where I had code that was breaking, but now I can enable it back. So let's just try creating a Cosmos client and return nothing. Because this was like with the HTTP stack being broken, I couldn't even new up a Cosmos client. So I think I should be able to do that now. Let's try that again. So now all we are doing is not even trying to pull data back, just newing up a Cosmos client and see if that works. Because this was, I think, last week I didn't stream because like I had a couple of meetings and I was speaking somewhere, but the week before, this is kind of where I stopped because everything broke. So let's see if we are somewhat back in business. Okay, we still have the list of names, but nothing broke. So I think the HTTP stack is back in business. Very good. All right, now let's open up all of this. Okay, so now we are newing up a new Cosmos client. We're giving it a database. We are giving it the exact container, and we are calling query items async, which will come down here, and it does a select star from C, which says go into the container, get me everything out of it. And this code, like this, is doing SQL on top of a non-relational data source, and it's kind of copied from some of the Cosmos DB docs that they had. They had examples like this, and then I think I can improve on when I'm actually pulling out just one issue. I don't think I need to do SQL like this. Like you can see, like I'm doing select star where an ID equals something. I think I can optimize this because it's just trying to go through like a feed response and doing a for each, which I don't need, but I didn't know exactly how to do that. But for now, let's just pull back a list of issues, right? So while we are reading this, it's going to go into this query results set iterator, go into the container, get the query items iterator, and cast them, deserialize them into of the type issue, and then we can go through the issue until we have more results, and we're going to add them into this collection of list of issues, which is this. It's an observable collection, so I can do data binding. That's two-way, and it's all set up for me. Okay, so that should bring back a list of issues, I hope. Now let's see here. We don't need this anymore. Let's bind it once it comes back. And again, this is async and await, so it's going to do the await here, it's going to go back, and then once we get the data back, the ordering of the processing of events is going to come back here once it has the data, and then we're going to set the item source of the list view to that collection, I think. Oh, but now I actually do need to open up this. Yeah. So now let's have a template. All right, so we have an item template inside of the thing. Item tapped. Oh, I don't have an item tapped yet, do I? No, I do have an item tapped. It's right here. Issue picked. It's going to this other detail view, which we'll worry about that later on. But we have an item template, and all I want to show is this binding to the name property, which should be the name of the issue, essentially. Where are my models? So this. Forget the ID, just bind it to the name and show me if you can. You think that'll work? Let's try. So Mac Catalyst build. This is the first time we are going to Azure, bringing back a list of issues and trying to bind to our list view. Okay, build succeeded. It's not. Oh, you see that? This is hard to read, but it is bringing something back. You see that Sands of MAUI issue 1? Like you can't read it because like it's kind of blending in, but it is bringing something back, and it's just not showing it well. All right, so something changed in the way they are rendering these cells that makes it hard to read. And also, why am I only getting 1 instead of getting 2? Huh. Okay. On the label, can I do things like color, fonts? Hold on, let me go check the docs. So this will be, so I mean our web lookup code did work, but it didn't render quite right. So let's go into list view, styling, item styles. Oops, I wanted to maximize this. I don't need like blue and things like that. So it's binding to a text cell, and then each thing has like an item style. This is way too involved. I just want to do text cell now. Let's do getting started. Like this was the list I was expecting with the names, but something in the ordering is different, so it's not showing that. Let's go to filtering, selection. No, I think the selection gesture can wait. Styling, selected item style. So this is the list view. See, this is a selected item style, but I can just do a regular style as well. Let's see if there's a .NET MAUI doc that I can pull up. Maybe this one here, it's .NET MAUI docs. Fundamentals, now let's use the interface. Controls, views, display connection, checkbox. Where's the label? Initiate commands, present data, label. Okay, so text color. Let's see if I can just add the text color to be black, because it's not showing things right if I don't. So let's just try that. It's my hope that I don't have to restart this app again once .NET MAUI RCs roll around and there are no more, API changes that break stuff. So I can, keep building on top of this. Oh, there you go. Okay, so now you kind of can see. Let's see, can I zoom in? Yeah, there you go. See that? So now we are bringing back just one issue, which is weird because it should bring two back. So it is a list view, but the formatting is off, but it's bringing one back at least. Interesting. Why is it not bringing two back? Binding it to the name is fine, and let's go into the code behind. So what are we doing here? We can get rid of this line of text, which just gives me, a list of names to bind to. All right, so we do the fetch and bind. We do the fetch and we set the item source. Let's do the view model, issue list view. So we initiate the cloud service, return the list of issues from this. All right, now let's go back here. Did I change anything here? Fetch issue list. That query items async, list of issues. It should be bringing back both. All right. Let's do one and figure it out why. Can we get the happy path to work from one? So I can display it in the other view, and then we'll figure out why it's not bringing two back, because it should. There's no reason for it not to. Okay. Let's do this. Let's just add another thing and let's see if it brings it back in our backend. Go in here, go to the resource, data explorer, issue list. We want to be in there, issues, items. There you go, 1 and 2. Let's look at 1. How about I copy this whole thing and new item. You can't see very well because it's small. How about this one? We set it to 3 and set it to 3. Published date is fine. Whatever timestamp is there, it's fine. Save. How do I save? Like that. Okay, so now we have 1. That's 3. That's 2. And that's 1. So now it should pull 3 back. Reading item this. Okay. Let's try again. If this doesn't work, something about the feed iterator code is not right. Okay, it's done building. No, it's not the feed iterator then, because you can kind of see like it still brought only one back. See that? It is a list view, but why is it not bringing the other ones back? This is weird. All right, we'll figure out the feed iterator stuff. Maybe it's two ways. It's either the iteration isn't working or the list view isn't displaying it right, given the template. Yeah. Okay, let's move forward. Okay, and the thing I want to do is, instead of doing that, just so I can have another page to go to. So we want to do new, what is it called? Navigation page, I think. So this way we have a first in, last out stack. So I can go to the issue list view, and then when you tap on that list view, issue picked, we're going to grab the issue that you picked, and we're going to do a navigation push async, and we're going to go into the issue detail view, right? And we are going to carry the selected ID here. So issue detail view is going to be this page here. Oh, I left it kind of just as a this is where I need to bring in the Blazor web view. I just haven't done it yet. So this one just has like a stack layout. It has a label, it has a button called sanity checked, and it has a clicked event handler. Okay, what does that do? Issue detail view. Okay, it creates the detail issue view model, and it has that chosen issue ID. So we are getting it in the constructor itself. We are setting this internal field, and we are creating a new view model, and then we are doing a fetch and bind data. Hey, Curious Drive, I am good. Let's see if my highlighting is working today. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good, my friend. How are you? How are you? I am still doing .NET MAUI, still doing, well, it's sort of Blazor. I have this app which is supposed to show me Blazor stuff. I know you're into Blazor, but good to see you. Good to see you. I see you're using Cosmos Service. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Well, it's not entirely working, but it's a start. So same deal. I have a list of things that I'm pulling back from Cosmos. Once we get to the exact each individual issue of the Sands of MAUI posts, the actual issue was actually going to have some HTML, which is empty right now, or it just has like a string. I want to display that string in a Blazor web view. So that is the whole game. So let's see, we're going to do a fetch and bind, carry on this selected issue ID, and we're going to go into the model and do a fetch data. So what does that do? View model, this. So this one is actually going to get that fetch data and new up the service and then do a fetch issue with that thing. So now we are going to call into this method. Instead of fetch issue list, it's fetch issue. Use the string ID, everything else is the same. Well, the container and the databases are different. Oh, Curious Drive has a curious question, which I don't know if I know the answer to. Do you think NoSQL is cheaper than SQL on the cloud? My 2 cents is it depends. In a way, yes, it can be, and that's the obvious, thing to lean towards, because when you look at SQL Server running in the cloud, it is most likely running on a dedicated VM, while something like NoSQL can be, again, it really depends on how you host it, how you have your plan set up, but the reads and the writes to a NoSQL database can be from shared infrastructure. So like something like Azure Cosmos DB might not even need a whole hosted VM just to kind of look up or write to your data. So in essence, I think NoSQL might be cheaper, but it's a really convoluted answer because it depends on exactly what you're doing. If you set it up right, where you have a SQL Server database running on the cloud, which is super optimized for reads and writes, and even though you have dedicated hardware, maybe it's just faster and cheaper. So I think it really depends. So I don't know, but that's just my 2 cents. Okay, so we are calling into fetch issue, different database, different container, because now we are going to go into this and we're going to look for the issues. That's my container ID. And then we're going to query item instead of items. I should probably rename that method. And I'm going to take that ID. Yeah, thanks and you're welcome. This one here is going to do that thing with the thing where it's looking up the select clause. Even though it's SQL, this is not really a SQL database. It is a NoSQL database because it's looking up a document based on that ID. And this is where it gets complicated, and I don't know exactly how like Azure Cosmos like stores things. There are partitions you can build within your containers on specific, like it's not quite the same idea as like indexes in a database, in a relational database, but I just don't know. So the best thing I can do is look up more on the Azure Cosmos DB docs and try to figure out, because I don't think this is right. The way I'm looking up a code here, just like looking up a single issue, I'm going through the feed iterator, which I should not have to. I should be able to look up a specific partition based on that ID. I just don't know how to do that yet. I'll figure it out. Okay, so do you think this will work or this will completely break? Let's find out. Let's see what we break. Oh, and no, actually, let me go back and see. In the view, when I come to the detailed view, I have the label, I have the button. So this will do it on the constructor. I shouldn't probably do a fetch and async and await on the constructor, but let's try it first. I want to move that down to like an on appearing. Okay, Curious Drive. No, I have not checked this. So Curious Drive is saying, am I using an ORM? I have not checked out EF data provider for Cosmos DB. I should. But I mean, I'm doing something that's like super simple. I don't have much of an object, model. It's just like a simple 2 tables. So I'm just going straight to the table. But for anything more complicated, I think you would be better off using a mapper. And then you can do code first and all the different approaches. But do tell Curious Drive if that's helping you for any of your lookups with the Entity Framework core. So what am I doing here? I am doing the fetch, and when I click on the button, I am updating the label with the HTML body. Okay, this might completely break, but let's try it. And I'm still not sure why I'm pulling back only 1 issue instead of 3. So I have to fix up code. There are challenges every step of the way, isn't it? Because right now, that second page I'm going to take you to, it is only XAML, but I don't want it to be only XAML. I actually want it to be a Blazor web view. Okay, so for some reason, the formatting of my list view is very off. Like it's just showing it awkwardly, and it's only showing 1, which I don't know why. But can I tap on this? Okay, so you see that now I went to the second page because I'm doing the navigation, And it gives me that back button so I can come back to the first page. Now if I do a sanity check, I don't get it back because I was expecting that I will see hello world in here. I can navigate, but my sanity check doesn't bring back anything. Okay. Not sure why. Not sure why. So nothing is broken in the code. It's just not quite working. One thing I can do right off the bat, like something that I'm seeing that's not right, is where I'm doing this fetch and bind. Now, as a normal practice, we should not be doing it on like I'm doing an async and void, async and await on a method that is not async and await, because that's literally the constructor. So I think let's first change that as an obvious thing to get rid of. If I go in here, I want to do that on here. So now let's go back to issue detail view. We want to be doing it on appearing, which is when the page view model is being created. Not pages view model, but like the pages like visual trees being created. That's when it calls this. And let's move these two pieces of code out of the initializer. And do that. So on the view model, we're creating the new view model, and we're going to do an await here. So it's truly async and await. All right, how about that? Right, so then it's going to come down here. Oh, maybe the problem is I'm returning a void. Let's see if this fetch data, what is it doing here in the view model? The fetch, no, in the Cosmos service. This is returning a task. Okay, let's see baby steps, right? Let's see if just this makes it work. If not, we're going to change that void into the actual task and see if I can make it work. All right. Let's see, one more build. Oh, what do you mean? Oh, okay. Because it doesn't know this, because that's just a string in there. All right, so let's call it the chosen issue ID, because we're just setting it right there. All right, that was at least a helpful build error. No, cannot await void. Ah, okay. All right, now it's really complaining about this. All right, let's fix it. Issue list, what did we do? This was still void, but then we did a task here on the fetch and bind, and I think that might do the trick. So now it's a task. Now I'm still not returning the actual thing that it's being returned. It's an issue detail, but I don't think it cares, because at the end of the day I'm going to set the it's setting the selected issue on the view model itself. Let's go in here. See, when this await finishes, it's going to set the selected view or the selected issue. Let's try. I'm not sure, but let's try. Okay, it's not complaining about builds anymore. So it compiles, but that doesn't mean it'll work. How's everyone else doing on this beautiful Thursday? It is cloudy and windy where I'm at. Okay. So we have a view which is showing me the first. Tap on that. We go to the second page. You see that? Okay, sanity check. Still nothing. Because this is where the label is supposed to be, and it's not pulling back the hello world. Is my Cosmos code correct? Let me try this before we try fixing more things on the .NET MAUI end. I do have the Cosmos code in a console app, so I can just see the data coming back. It's called Cosmos test here. Let's see. Okay, you don't want to see my primary key and my endpoints, but this is the same code. It's using Cosmos 325, right? And it has the same code, except let's see, which one are we calling? So fetch list. Okay, so fetch list is going to fetch the list of all the things. And then, okay, let's try running this first. Whole bunch of builds. Well, this is weird. So it is not about my .NET MAUI app. You see that how it's... No, it is right. Oh, you see that? The code is right here. You see that now this is it's doing console.write here, because what I'm doing here is when I read the list of things, before I read, I'm doing a console.write line, the issue name. So I am reading Sands of MAUI issue 1, 2, and 3. So that is correct. It's the list view that's not able to make sense of it. All right, that's good to know that this code still works. And then if I comment that one out, and if I try reading a specific issue, fetch issue demo, which is where fetch issue demo. Oh, this one is hard-coded, where the ID is just 1. And it should still spit out what the HTML body is. Okay, let's run this. Yeah, it gives me hello world right there. See that red hello world? So this is right. It's just the way I am displaying it that is broken. And also, why is my beautiful list not showing up? Because I can read all 3 of them here. Yeah, see that? Sands of MAUI issue 1, 2, and 3, but I cannot show 1, 2, and 3. Okay. So the service level code is fine. Let's double check if I made any changes here. Cosmos client database container, fetch issue list goes in here, query items of the type issue. It's adding it here. No, that's all right. And this list of issues is an observable collection. Okay, let's go into my view model. Issue list view model. This is still a one-on-one pass-through. It's returning the list of issues right here back into the view which called it, which is this view here. It doesn't have anything other than the list view. It just has a stack layout inside where each cell is that. Let's recheck. On appearing, returning a task, fetch item source is that. That seems right. I mean, I can return this fetch and bind data returns an observable collection, but I don't think it matters here. I can make it match, but I don't think it matters. Let's view. Let's return this whole thing, but like no one's reading it on the return, so I don't think it matters. List view here. That. So that's a field. Okay, will this compile? Oh, not all code paths return. Okay, so now it's returning. It's asking me to return something which I don't want it to. Yeah, so I don't think I need this here because I'm not returning this. This is the thing that I'm reading it from. So on the view model, it makes sense that I'm returning this task because this is literally the public observable collection that I want to expose to my views. So it makes sense that I return that. But on the view itself, I don't need to return anything else. Would be nice if I can debug this, wouldn't it be? Which I can try. I think VS for Mac might be able to pick this up if I take away all of these. Shall we try? Because I actually haven't seen this or tried this in some time now. How about this? I comment that line out, okay? Because it's the multi-targeting that it gets really confused on. And what if we just we take away iOS, we take away Android, and we just have Mac Catalyst, okay? Now, let me close VS Code. All right, let's see how badly we're going to mess this up. Visual Studio 2022 preview. Open. We go in here, command line projects. Let's look at Sands of MAUI and this solution. Ooh. This is uncharted territory because it's not supported. But can I debug? It's already giving me a warning here. What is that? .NET 6 Xamarin and MAUI projects are not supported with this version. The included target frameworks are not supported. Oh, okay. Can you debug? I understand you're not supported, but I don't think I can even debug because like it's like how I don't have a way to even run this. Like I can't choose a starting project. No, VS Code or VS for Mac is not going to help here. So we should stick with VS Code. Okay, back to this. Don't ask me again. Or is it Mac Catalyst? Or does this work better on who's calling me? Don't want to take a call. Does it work better on iOS? We should try that first. I have my cheat sheet of things here. Let's do an iOS build for this. All right, come back in here, clear that, and so now I'm doing a .NET build, but the TFM, the target, is iOS instead of Mac. Let's see if iOS does anything different compared to Mac Catalyst. Oh, I had some lawn care people scheduled to come today, so maybe they were the ones calling me to confirm. It's springtime, so we have to start doing lawn things and fertilizers and trying to control any weeds that grow. It's that time of the year again. I'm a little obsessed with the grass because we moved into a new neighborhood and everybody around us has the most beautiful, it's like carpet, everybody else's grass. And our backyard and front yard kind of looks like a disaster zone. So I'm trying to be better and trying to get some help. Oh, Xcode. What do you need? Okay. Okay. So I have new iOS builds as well, apparently. Let's see. It's trying to build. What is that? Okay. It's trying to fire up this iOS simulator here, which by default it's the iPad simulator. You see this M launch, it means like the build is done, it's talking to Xcode, doing the build, coming back. Let's see if it does actually come back. It's thinking for way too long. I would be very surprised if Mac Catalyst and iOS behave differently, because it's essentially the same iOS build. Oh, come on. How long does a build take? I got nothing else working or running. Yeah. Still optimizing. I mean, the good news is I can bring over my files over to .NET MAUI Preview 14, and nothing is just screaming and broken at me. Things are not displaying right. I'm not pulling all the data back, but those are all fixable things. Last week I had like crashes all over the place with iOS and Android, where the app wouldn't even launch because I had like mismatched runtimes, and you know, the next preview has fixed all of that. So hopefully this is the last time I'm having to restart the app and bring the files over. Is it even doing anything? Because it's like sitting here at mlaunch and not doing anything. All right. Did I think I know what might be happening, because it's it wanted to install a few Xcode things, and I'm not sure if it did install all of it, because sometimes Xcode has like command line things it's trying to install. No, Xcode comes right up. Okay. So what are you failing on? Let's make this bigger. Let's go to CLI projects and go to Sands of MAUI. And let's do my iOS build again, please. So at this point, like, it's built. Okay, no, see how quick that comes up. So something was stuck in the last build. Oh, now it's changed the default simulator. This is not iPad anymore. This is the new iPad Air. Oh, fancy. 5th generation iOS 15.4. Isn't this the latest iPad they launched? I'm not big onto iPads. I think I still have like an old iPad, like from 3-4 years back. Okay, so that's .NET MAUI launching. Yeah, okay, so same behavior as we see with Mac Catalyst. Oh, okay, hold on. Chat room here. Let's see, what are you saying here? Jen Rusty, good afternoon. I've been trying MAUI as well on macOS, but I haven't been able to get it to run. Have you heard anything about what Timeline MAUI and VS for Mac 2020 release is? how much trouble do you want me to get into? I do have an answer, but I'm not sure if I'm supposed to be sharing it. I think what publicly is being shared from Microsoft, and some of it I will give you my best guess. Okay, what is publicly shared is .NET MAUI, the runtime, is going to be shipping sometime in Q1 or end of Q1 or Q2. Which, if you do the math, and if you realize what Microsoft has coming up on the horizon, they may or may not have like a virtual build conference. So I would guess sometime in May, okay, is when .NET MAUI, the runtime, comes out. Now, the runtime doesn't mean the tooling is quite ready. They have made that departure before, and on the Windows side, it's much better because you have Visual Studio 2022 17.2, and things are much more well baked in. But like you, I'm on a Mac, and VS for Code is kind of iffy. There is an extension you can get which helps you with debugging and deploying, but it's not much. And VS for Mac for sure will not have MAUI support when they ship MAUI. So VS for Mac is on let me show you. They had VS for Mac. The last preview was preview 7, I want to say. You know what? I have written about this, so let's go back and take a look. This is the advantage of having a newsletter, because I can go look. This one here, you see that? This is VS 2024 Mac. The last one is preview 7. Okay, this is Jordan Matheson. Runs the VS for Mac team and the group. So this one here, they brought back Xamarin tooling, and they're saying .NET MAUI, there's progress being made on .NET MAUI 2, but it will not be ready for general availability. And if you ask me, just complete wild guess, it will not be ready until much later on in the year. And again, if you look at the timelines, .NET 7 is cooking. That comes out in November timeframe. So my bet would be this all kind of comes together in November. The tooling for .NET MAUI, because it's a lot of work. But again, I'm completely guessing on this part. So do not count my words. That's just my guess. Okay, hopefully I answered that for you, Jen Wosti. But it is painful, I will give you that. When you're saying that you are unable to run it, do let me know what you are running into, because you can run it, just the debugging story and the deployment story is just not good on a Mac OS. But you can see I'm running things from a .NET MAUI code base on Mac Catalyst, on an iOS device, right? So it runs, it just doesn't let you do much else. Okay, so back to the app, I still see that one. You see that I'm only getting that one issue back, which is weird. And I can do that, go to the second page. So the same code works, and I'm not reading the text here. So same behavior as I'm getting in my Mac Catalyst build. Okay, I have to dig in. I have to figure out what I am doing wrong, because I don't think there is anything going on with my code. Like, this was what I had working before, and some things have changed, so I'm not getting the entire list, and I'm not reading in the detail view, I'm not reading this label correctly for some reason. Because when I'm clicking that button, this is essentially what it should come down to. And it's not showing this HTML body. Okay, so I will go back to the drawing board and see why code that I had before that was working is not working anymore, because it's a brand new preview, so things may have been changed, but at least it's a start. I am back. And so what my goal is on this like detail view, not do any of this like XAML stuff. What I want to do is just drop in a Blazor web view and let it render the HTML body, right, entirely. And we still have the navigation from the first page, but anything under the navigation tree should be just a Blazor web view that shows my HTML. So sounds simple what I'm trying to do, but it's just a whole bunch of stumbling blocks to go through. So I'll keep working, and I'll be back next week, and we can move this forward. All right, folks, I'll see you on another stream. All right, bye-bye for now.